We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Is that where the camera is over there? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
We had this set up on a different stream, and then my webcam, it was messed up. And so now I'm on this one, so hopefully people can see me. I'll give everybody a couple minutes to get in here. Maybe Jay, if you can go over to the one where people were waiting, because some people were waiting, and then it's all weird. So I'll give everybody a okay. People are joining now. It looks like so. I can't see the chat on here. Jay, my husband, he's going to be moderating things in the chat, and he'll be feeding me questions as he does. Thanks for bearing with us. I'll go ahead and get started. Excuse the mess in the background. So, hi, Linda from Vancouver. So cool to see where everybody's from. So my name is Kayla Cox. I am the owner of this channel, 6 Miles to Supper, and 6 Miles to Supper is my somewhat well, I was trying to be clever in how I named this channel, because that's basically how I lost 80 pounds and how I've kept it off. I eat 1 meal a day, and I walk 6 miles a day. That has varied a little bit over the course of time. In the very beginning, I was doing, now I can hear things. Okay, okay. So in the beginning, I just did basically intermittent fasting, starting out with a very short fasting window and just pushing it out as I went along. Eventually, I got to 1 meal a day. That's my preferred way to eat. And I walk 6 miles a day. In the beginning, I would walk 6 miles a day, 7 days a week. I was very strict about that in the very beginning, but I've switched that over to 6 days a week, 6 miles a day, 6 days a week, just to give my day, give myself 1 day off a week. And I do that with fasting too. I take 1 day completely off. I call it my cheat day. Some people don't like the term cheat day because it sounds like you're doing something wrong or something. So whatever way you want to put it, I take the day off. I think someone said they're from Egypt. That's awesome. Wow, so cool. Let's see. And also, I wanted to tell you about, well, first of all, I have a couple of books, The Laid Back Guide to Intermittent Fasting and Overcoming Weight Loss Obstacles, What to Do When Things, well, I messed up the title. Basically, the first book is all about intermittent fasting and just the laid back way I practiced it. The second book is about, dealing with the problems that come up on the weight loss journey. I also have a podcast that I do. We're actually starting to put episodes up here on YouTube. I didn't even realize that people listen to podcasts on YouTube. Apparently that's a thing. So Jay is going through and starting to post some of the older episodes, but also going forward, we're going to put the podcast here also. Hey, Leah from Little Rock and Laurel from Middle Tennessee. That is awesome. There's people from all over. Oh, and somebody from BC, Canada. So I also wanted to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about DonorSee. So I'm wearing my DonorSee shirt today, and it's the coolest app to me ever. It's a way that you can directly donate to people, the poorest people in the world. Greg Glyer started this app several years ago, and he wanted to end world poverty. That's like his goal. And this app is great for that. You can see exactly where your money's going. They send you video updates to show you how your money was used. And so this channel and a percentage of the proceeds from this channel, from my book sales, all that good stuff, we donate to various projects on there. And so he was murdered. Greg Glyer, the CEO, he was murdered on Friday. I just found out this morning, and it's sad. And there's no apparently the police have no leads. He was someone just came into his home and murdered him, and I don't know why anyone would ever do that. Thank God his children and his wife are okay, but they are hurting right now, I am sure, and the world lost a good person. And anyway, if you'd like to donate to that, there's the GoFundMe, I think, for his wife and kids. The project that we're donating to right now as a channel is this project for, it's going to affect 15,000 people. They need clean water. It's a village in Malawi, or actually it's a couple of villages in Malawi. They don't have any access to clean water, but there is a municipal water pipe that's running nearby, and they've received permission that they can tap into it. They just need money for the pipes. So Jay can link to that. Thank you guys for your prayers for Gret and his family. It is definitely the best thing you can do for them right now. So, okay, let's get into some questions. The first question is from Pawan Pingle, and they asked, what's the secret of sustainable intermittent fasting? Last year I did intermittent fasting for about a month, saw amazing results, but somehow crawled back to eating all the time. This year I have started intermittent fasting and have clung to it for about a month now, and I'm already seeing the great benefits of it. I don't want to go back to my non-IF life again. What's the secret sauce of keeping this battle ongoing? How do I sustain my good life? So that's such a good question, and I think this is the real hard part of the weight loss journey, is when you've had results, you're having success, and then you quit. And that can be really confusing. And there's a lot of, I think, possible reasons, and it's like you just kind of have to become a detective in your own life and try to figure out what's going on. You can figure this out because you know yourself better than anybody else. So you can learn and you can observe yourself and you can start to kind of figure this out. So the first thing I would say, the first thing is always to look at how are you actually feeling with the intermittent fasting. Sometimes intermittent fasting, maybe it gives you results, but it's not a great fit in your life. Some people just are miserable kind of when they're doing intermittent fasting. Like my husband, he is one of those people who, he doesn't do great with fasting. He doesn't feel good. Like he does not do well on it. He's also a skinny guy, so like that's probably part of it. But there are some people, is the point, that it just doesn't fit into your life that well. You could look at things like, you know, was it feeling like you were not being able to like really connect with your family? For some people, you know, they gather around the table like 3 times a day, and you know, if you are like not able to take part in that, even if it's kind of like you sit there and you just don't eat, that can be a really difficult thing. So I'd say, like, first examine your life, see if intermittent fasting was a good fit. And so that's the first thing. But there's this other thing with weight loss, and it's not just intermittent fasting, it's just weight loss in general. And that is self-sabotage. And it's not just weight loss either. You can do this in pretty much, I think, any area of your life, but you know, you can be doing something and you're working towards a goal that will be better for you. But you start to sabotage yourself, and you just like, you quit on the thing, whatever it is you're doing, and you got to figure out why. And so I'll tell you some of the things that I noticed that like where I noticed myself kind of starting to self-sabotage. Why would I do that? One big one for me was the being scared of success. So I'm afraid that I will lose the weight, and then, you know, what might that mean? Like, might I get a lot of unwanted attention, or might I change in some way? Like, will I become a jerk if I'm not obese anymore? One really big thing that really held me back was I was really afraid that I was going to successfully lose the weight, but then regain the weight, and oh my gosh, how embarrassing would that be? So I wouldn't even try sometimes. Like I would just think, well, yeah, I would try, and I think I could get it off, but then what if I gain the weight, and that's going to be really embarrassing. So there's a lot of things. And it can also be like, maybe in the past you did get unwanted attention in various ways, and you maybe put on weight, and I'm just speaking in general here, I'm not talking about this particular person, you know, you think that the weight can protect you from that. And so there's a lot of reasons people gain weight, and it's not just because we like Oreos. Like, you see those Oreos in the background? That's kind of an interesting thing about intermittent fasting that it has taught me. So you guys probably all know, like, I eat everything. I don't like, I'm not low carb. I don't say like I can't have this, can't have that. I can have dessert whenever I want it. So back when I was obese, those double stuffed Oreos would have been gone like in a day. Like, because to me there was no real reason to not eat them, you know? Like, I could always think like, oh, I'll have one here, one there. And it's not like I would sit down and just eat the whole bag of Oreos. Like, I was just more of a grazer. I would just like graze and graze and graze. But those Oreos, and they're, well, technically they're Twist and Shouts, because that's the off-brand at Walmart. Jay bought those for his Father's Day, like snacky time food. And here they still sit, you know, a week later. So, because intermittent fasting, it's not that like I can't have them. I've had some, but it just gave me stopping power. Like, it helped me to establish good boundaries with food, and help me to just be able to stop. So, when I'm full, I still do eat them. Okay. So the secret sauce is just, and okay, so let me continue on here with that thread, because what's the secret sauce? The secret sauce is doing the thing even when you're scared. So, like, if you realize, oh, I'm just self-sabotaging, like, I'm afraid of this, this, and this, the only way I've ever found to move past that is to just do the thing. So if you're afraid that, you know, things will happen when you lose weight, and that maybe all these things will come true, you just have to do it anyway. And luckily, weight loss for most of us is kind of a slow process, and so you just, like, you gradually get there. So there aren't these sudden changes that have to happen, and it gets less and less scary as you move forward. And then once you get down to your goal weight, then it, you know, like, I had some anxiety about that. Like, when I was getting towards my goal weight, I thought, oh no, like, now's when everything falls apart, because now's when I'm gonna regain it. But what I found was, no, all you have to do is just keep doing what you were doing. Like, it's not like magically the pounds appear back. It's all tied to all of your actions. So it's not magic. Okay, sorry you guys, I think it keeps like focusing in and out. Are you noticing that? I don't know if
I noticed it, but I don't know
is there a
what to
way
do on here.
to, I don't know. All right, let's see here. Follow the Arrow says, hello, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on having fixed times for a 16-hour fasting window? For example, and they list their eating windows. So like it's, let's see, 17. Okay, so that they're eating like sometimes from like, well, gosh, it's all in military time. So now I'm having to do like from 5 to maybe 11, and then from maybe from 11 to 7. Yeah, gosh, I'm sorry. I know how to do military time. But anyway, so the point is, like, is it okay for the times to be different throughout the day? And it's fine. The main thing is that you are making decisions on purpose about when your eating is, and you stick to that, whatever that is. Some people's lives are, like, their schedule just doesn't work with something more consistent. I will say, if your life allows for it, it is easier to me to just have a set time. That way you don't have to think about it. Like, some people use like they're like these apps where it will like show you how long you've been fasting and stuff, and that doesn't work for me, because I would forget most every time, I'm sure, to like hit the button or whatever. But like when I would have more of a window before I went to like OMAD, if I would stop talking with my hands, it would stop doing that probably. When I would do that, I would just keep the thing at the same time every day. So like if I was doing an 18-6, so a 6-hour eating window, I would just say, okay, I'm going to eat between 2 and 8 every day. Like, I'm not going to eat before 2, I'm not going to eat after 8, just so it was easy to remember. And so, but no, you don't have, like, you're going to be fine if you just stay consistent with whatever plan you have decided on. The main thing is, does it fit in your life? Okay, Next question. Have you noticed if people other than your spouse and kids treat you differently since you lost 80 pounds? How do you currently deal with hard emotions linked to others' comments or perceptions of you before and after? I was trying to think about this because I saw this question earlier and I thought, do people treat me differently? And I don't think they do, but I think I act differently. So what I mean by that is when I was obese, I remember a lot of times I not that I thought the worst of people, but I always thought people were judging me, that they were paying attention to my weight and thinking about like, oh, you need to lose weight, or that they were judging me while I was eating. I'm sure I was overly sensitive to comments that probably were innocuous, but I probably took them the wrong way. Now, that being said, when I was a kid, I definitely remember people being mean. I mean, kids are mean sometimes. Like they would just, I remember this one guy called me OSL in middle school, and I didn't know what OSL stood for, and then he told me it stood for oversized load. So things like that stick in my head, of course. And so one thing with that was dealing with that. I realized, and this was in 2014, this is when I really started to realize, like, oh, I have some unforgiveness in my heart about these things, these, comments that people would make, or, people telling me, to go on a diet, or things like that. Sometimes people just being mean, sometimes people just honestly trying to be helpful, and sometimes people not even realizing that it was a big deal. And so just forgiving that and just saying, I forgive them for all that thing, and then you don't hold on to it anymore. I still remember it, obviously, and hey, it's a good story, right? to be able to tell people, but I found it doesn't have power over you when you can really forgive it. And sometimes forgiveness is like a process. It's like you think you've forgiven something, and then a while later it's like, oh, I guess I really haven't forgiven that because I still feel kind of angry, and you just have to keep working at forgiveness. So other comments and perceptions of me. Having a YouTube channel means that you have a comment section, and so and you guys know I don't really go into the comment section. Jay is in there responding to people, and I stay out of it generally because of potential negative comments. They're not in there often. It seems to come in waves. If there are negative things, like it just kind of, there's like a wave. But and I don't know that I have a great response to it, other than you just have to kind of say, oh well, like somebody, like I remember in the, like, after it was like the first video I made, I think on YouTube, was the one about like how I lost 65 pounds with intermittent fasting. And there was some guy on there that basically said, you still look like you need to lose some weight, or something sort of jerkish. And I still remember it, and I'd like to say that it didn't affect me at all, and I'm just super confident now. Well, no, I still remembered it, and so it's, I think you just have to know that sometimes people say things, and you have to, it helps me to ask myself, like, why should I care about their opinion? And Brene Brown, I think it was her I heard this tip from. Like, she said, like, take a 1 square piece of paper and write down the names of the people whose opinions really matter to you, and then they get a say. Like, you should listen to them, but everybody else, they aren't on the paper, so you shouldn't let their opinions and comments and stuff really get to you. Still working on that one, I'm sure. Okay. How have you been able to adjust to to OMAD and not just want to eat the world when it's finally supper time? I'm doing a 19-5 with a small meal or snack at about 3 o'clock and dinner at 6:30. Once my window opens, though, I just want to eat all the things. I do okay while I'm still at work, but by 5 o'clock I'm wanting to eat. So, yeah, I think, well, one thing, like OMAD, having just one meal, that limits that anyway, because I don't have a window. I don't have 5 hours, first of all, to eat and eat and eat the world, as you put it. But for OMAD, it's pretty easy, because it's like, well, you just sit there, and there's really only so much you can really eat, or so much that I can really eat. So it's kind of like self-limiting. So like, even if I'm like, ooh, I'm really hungry, I eat, and then I eat until I'm full, and then I'm done. So like, I get up from the table and start fasting again. But when I had more of a window, uh, I think a couple of things that really helped me were, one, making sure I was eating enough in the eating window. One thing that can happen with intermittent fasting when you're trying to lose weight, just in general, is you can get in a rush. So you think, well, I'll just eat, less. Yeah, and it's like, you're not really full, but you're gonna eat less anyway, and then you can end up being overly hungry. And what I found was intermittent fasting worked the best when I was able to feel in the fasting window, feel good, like feel really, like I've got really good energy. I don't have headaches. I'm not feeling nauseous. I'm not feeling like so hungry, like I can't wait until my meal, like it was just like, I'm hungry by the time my window opens. I'm hungry. I'm ready to eat, but I don't want to be like ravenous. And that's like a lot of trial and error, because different foods are different. Your activity level is different every single day. So I would just say that eat more in your eating window, as long as the scale is still moving down. Also, you might try opening your like making your eating window a little bit longer. It might be that you were like rushing a little bit, and you pushed it out a little bit too fast, and your body is just having trouble adjusting. And also, looking at your stress levels, making sure you're not too stressed and that kind of thing, because all those things can play a role. Also, make sure you've got lots of things in your life that like that you're working on, that you're growing, and things like that, like learning things, or having hobbies. Don't let food be the most important thing. Like I remember in 2014, I realized that about myself. Like, usually, if I was honest with myself, the best part of my day was, and like the thing that I looked forward to was like whatever I ate. Like that was what was the thing. And so, yeah. So those are some things to look at. All right, Raf, and I think someone said, is this the person that sent the super chat? Thanks for the super chat. Raf said, I start IF, then stop. How can I be consistent? So, yeah. One thing, if you find yourself starting and then stopping, asking yourself, what is going on? Like, becoming more aware of like your thought patterns. What are you saying to yourself? What's going on? Why are you trying to do intermittent fasting? I think most people in here are doing it for weight loss. So you can ask yourself, why do you want to lose weight? And if you can't really answer that, or if the answer is something like, well, because so and so wants me to, and it's not coming like from within you, like you want to lose weight, then that's a red flag. You need to figure out why you want to lose weight. There can be just a lot of fears too, like with intermittent fasting, because it is different than what most people do. It can be scary. It can be kind of like, well, I don't know, this is weird. Like, am I gonna, like, is this gonna hurt me? Like I'm like going a long time between meals. Is that gonna be harmful to me? And because it's something different than what probably most people around you are doing, it can feel scary. So yeah, really delving into your why, figuring out, and sometimes there's just something in your life that keeps tripping you up, and so it like kind of takes you off plan, and then because you got off plan that one day, it's like, well, forget it. Like perfectionism, that can really throw you off. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and you have to get rid of the all or nothing mindset. It's got to be like, well, okay, this thing happened. Like, so let's say you're doing intermittent fasting, you're being consistent, but the thing that you notice is, oh, well, you went and you had lunch, like your sister came in from out of town and she wanted to have lunch. And so now you didn't do intermittent fasting like you thought you were going to, and then you just quit. Well, you don't have to quit. You could just say, okay, well, that was a day where I went off plan, but I go off plan. I mean, and I do that. I go off plan on purpose in situations like that. If there's just like a random like get together at lunchtime, I'm gonna eat at that meal. Like if there's a cookout at 2 o'clock, and normally I do OMAD, I'm gonna eat at 2 o'clock, and if it works around where like we're gonna eat like as a family that night too, I'm gonna eat with my family. That's always my thing. I always eat with my family for supper. So there you go. Okay. Next question. I would like to ask what tips you have to ward off hunger, and are there any go-to videos that you watch for motivation when you feel like you want to stop? Okay, so hunger. I just made a video about hunger. I think that I can't remember when that's gonna post. So couple of things about hunger. One is hunger isn't always hunger. It's kind of a weird thing, and I didn't understand this at all until I started doing intermittent fasting. And then it was like, oh, I see. So I used to think, well, anytime you're hungry, you're actually just hungry. Like whenever you feel like you want to eat, that means you're actually hungry. But what I found was that actually a lot of times when I was stressed, I would feel hungry. I wasn't actually hungry. I was just feeling stressed. And in order to like comfort myself, I would want to go grab a snack. Being bored also, I would be like just bored or procrastinating on like, oh, I'm going to do this one thing, but I'm nervous about that. Like maybe it's like a drawing or something I'm intimidated by. So I think, well, I need to go do, go have a snack first. So there's that. There's also just habit. You can just be in the habit of eating at various times. And that can look like hunger. That can feel like hunger because it's like, well, we always, like whenever I sit down, we always have a snack. And if you don't have a snack, then that feels weird. So your body's like, go get a snack. But it's not actually hungry. You're not actually hungry. You're not actually hungry. But sometimes you're going to feel hunger. Sometimes you're going to feel hunger because you didn't eat enough. But then other times you do get hungry, especially in the hours leading up, maybe like an hour or so before your meal time or your eating window opens. And so how to deal with that? One thing I found was very helpful was just to be busy. Just stay busy. Like knock out stuff on your to-do list. Clean your house, clean out the junk drawer, organize, declutter. Work on your work. Like if you have a job, or work on a side hustle, or do some sort of hobby. Basically, just keep busy. Are there any? And then also there comes a point when then you also have to learn how to just be still. Which I think is in the beginning though, just learning how to not eat during the fasting window and stay busy is the easiest way. Okay. Are there any motivational videos? Okay, so maybe Jay can find these. I can't remember if I might actually have them on a motivation list on my channel. I'm not sure. It might be private though. So there were a lot of motivational videos. I remember this one where Arnold Schwarzenegger is talking about sleep faster. Like I think it's maybe called like most motivational speech from Arnold Schwarzenegger ever, something like that. I listened to that one a lot, and especially because in 2014, that's when I had I've had enough moment, and I started to really listen to a lot of like motivational stuff. I started reading a lot of motivational books like Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, stuff by Jim Rohn, stuff by Zig Ziglar, like all the motivation guys. And so one thing, and it just really stuck with me because I had young kids at the time, and I thought, well, I can't wake up early. I need my sleep. I've got to have my sleep. And I was sleep. Oh my gosh. When I was obese, I was sleeping a lot. Like I would I think we would go to bed at a fairly decent hour, but I would sleep until like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Or like sometimes I'd wake up with Jay and then I would go back to bed. I mean, I was just sleeping a lot. But anyway, so that was really helpful because he said, sleep faster. And I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Like maybe the problem is I'm sleeping too much. Um, so I slept faster, and I started getting up. I would go in February of 2015. I started going to the gym. I would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, get myself to the gym because I did not uh, want to. I felt embarrassed by my body, and I did not want to be like in there with all the skinny gym people in like the best shape of their lives and stuff. And so I went really early in the morning, and there's very few people there that early in the morning. But as it turned out, I felt so much better. Like even though I was getting up early, I mean, I felt great. I felt really good. I mean, it was a struggle that year, but I like as far as just overall energy levels, they were much better. Even though I was sleeping less. Okay, let's see. Ancestral Living and Nutrition says, I've been trying to stick to OMAD, but I do mess up occasionally. I messed up 3 times this week and gained 1 pound for the week instead of losing 1 pound for the week. With slow weight loss, it can feel discouraging and defeating to be so strict and see such slow results or take a step backwards. How do you have the patience and determination and not feel defeated? Yeah, that is, yes. So much I have felt that in the past, especially the whole perfectionism thing, because certainly it would be like if I mess up, then that means it's just not worth it to try. To try. It's like I either need to be perfect or not on any plan at all. But when I finally got it through my head, like I'm not doing that anymore. It's like if I'm gonna mess up, like just knowing I am gonna mess up. That's actually why I take a day off every week. That way I never have like this long streak going where I'm like, hey, I've been perfect for like 15 days in a row now. Like, nope, 6 days. I have a streak of 6 days and then I break it. And that's been really good for me. So 3 days. Okay. 3 times this week. Okay, first of all, like, it might be that OMAD's not a great fit for your life. Again, like, OMAD works really well for me because we homeschool, I work from home, I don't often like as far as social life, I'm not a social butterfly. I'm more of an introvert. So I'm not going out to lunch all the time with people. And because we homeschool, our schedules are just they're just a little more loosey goosey, I guess. So a lot of times people are eating at different times during the day. So it's not a big deal that I eat just supper. So the first thing I would say is like learn lessons from whenever you mess up. Like, and I know that it sounds cheesy, but if you can like reframe it in your mind every time you mess up, think of it as an opportunity to learn something useful about weight loss for yourself. So, okay, I'll give you an example from like earlier on in my journey. I got to the point where I was doing OMAD, and it was going really well for me. I was like, this is fantastic. This is the best plan ever. And I was really like, once I started doing OMAD, I had no desire really, generally speaking, to eat during the day. I was like, I'm fine. Like once I learned that I could just hold out till supper, like just eat supper, then it was like, I don't feel the need to eat lunch. I don't feel the need to eat breakfast. But then my in-laws wanted to start doing I don't know that it was their idea. It might have been my husband's idea. I can't remember. Point is, we started doing what? Whose idea was it? Was it you?
Wasn't my idea.
Wasn't your idea? I don't know. Somehow it came up where we were going to start like having lunch at their house, like maybe like once a month. I can't really remember. Maybe like twice a month. And so the first time I thought, okay, I'm just not going to eat. Like, I don't need to eat, and I'll just sit there and have my, cup of coffee, or I'll have, a glass of water or whatever, and it'll be fine. But when I got over there and I ate, I realized, like, this is going to be super awkward. Like, if I just sit here and don't eat, first of all, it's kind of rude, quite frankly, to go over to somebody's house, they've invited you for lunch, and to sit there and not eat, it just felt wrong. Like it just, I was like, I'm not doing this, I'm gonna eat. So then, I get home and I feel so guilty and I'm beating myself up, and I thought, oh, like, how little willpower do I have, and this isn't gonna work, and so I just thought, okay, what I learned is I want to eat. Like, I do want to eat. Like, even though I didn't need to eat, I wanted to eat. I wanted to eat because there's a thing about eating with people. It's fellowship. There's like connection that happens around a meal that's really difficult to replicate without food. It's easier to talk. It's easier to have discussions. And so I thought, okay, so if this is going to work, I think my new rule needs to be, if there is some sort of event that is happening and it is food related, I'm gonna eat the food. I'm not gonna worry about it. And the rule I made was, unless it starts to really affect my weight loss. So I just kind of accepted that there may be times, there may be even, like a week where it is like 3 times in that week, like for whatever reason my plan gets kind of thrown off. I'm still going to stick with it. And if the weight starts to go up, then I'll change the rule. But for now, let's just see how it works. And I was really surprised to find that I was still able to lose weight. And yeah, the weight loss probably was slower than what it would have been if I had just said, no, only OMAD. I'm never going to eat any other time except for the OMAD. But it made it so that the plan felt really easy. So, patience. Patience, too, it's a funny word. It really means, when you like take it back to its roots, it means learning how to bear, like have pain, like deal, like just be, like sit in pain. Passion is the same root. So it is painful when, things aren't going well, or, you take a step back, or you just kind of are stuck for a bit. But you just have to keep going, too. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, that happened, but I'm not going to quit. I'm just going to try to learn something from it, maybe change a little rule or something I have just to make this fit better in my life, and then keep going. Don't quit. And don't feel defeated. And even if you do feel defeated, keep going. So, Laurel Reynolds, thank you for the super chat. How do you handle meals for the family while you're fasting? We homeschool, work from home, and try to eat healthy from scratch, so lots of having to cook while fasting that majorly triggers hunger for me. I try to do 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. the next day, so I have to do breakfast and lunch for the kids and husband before I eat. So, learning how to cook, and not let that like trigger you and stuff, that just takes practice. I remember in the earlier days, it felt like a lot more of a challenge when I would actually cook food. Now, my kids, I always have tried to, I've always encouraged them to make breakfast for themselves and things like that. So, so a lot of times that was kind of not even really much of a factor because of just how it worked out. Although I'm having trouble remembering because my youngest was pretty young when I first started, so. But I don't really he wasn't always wanting to eat cooked food, he was more apples and stuff like that, so it wasn't really tempting because I know what it is like when you're cooking food and it smells really good, you do feel hungry. I mean, I think that's a natural human thing, when you smell food that is cooking and it's your body starts to get ready because it's hey, we're about to eat, great. So I think one thing that kind of helped me over time was to think of it like a challenge, and to really I would do this. I would really smell the food. And one thing that's kind of interesting is just smelling the food can be pretty enjoyable. It's oh yeah, that smelled really good, but I'm not gonna eat. And then you feel stronger after that. After you've successfully done that you just start to feel stronger, and then it's oh yeah, I don't need to eat. I mean, yes, the food smells good, but I don't have to eat. And I would even do these things too, where I would pick up food and I would just put it back down. I know that sounds maybe silly to some of you out there, but it's like a a thing where you're learning how to just have control over food, and to say no. I mean, I can even pick up the food and I can put it back down. I don't have to put it in my mouth. uh, it's kind of like reps in a different kind of way. um, okay. So hopefully that helps you. um, but just know that with practice, I think it gets easier and easier and easier. Linda Straub, how did you get past the grazing? That's what I like to do. Well, so it was kind of like a two-step process. So the first thing was, I when I started to get really consistent with intermittent fasting, like I was like, okay, I'm not eating during this time. I'm only eating during this time. I started to see this pattern I had when I would feel stressed, I would feel hungry, and that's when I want to snack. So then what would happen is, during my eating window, I started to recognize when I was doing that same thing. And even though I could eat, like, yeah, I mean, I'm feeling like a snack right now, but it's still that same thing, like that same thing I'm worried about, or that same, problem or whatever. That's what's going on here. It's not actually the snacking that I'm wanting to do. It's the comforting myself that I want to do. So I said to myself, I'm not going to do that. Like, so if I ever notice that I'm feeling that way, I won't eat. And instead I'll take action, or I'll go get my steps in. I try to get in the habit of just kind of procrastinating on snacking a little bit, like, because yeah, sometimes maybe really I did want a snack, but most of the time it was just like, no, I'm stressed about something. I'm procrastinating, or whatever the thing is. So just learning that. I didn't have a rule per se. I didn't say no snacking ever. And in fact, I mean, that, like, when I was starting to really lengthen out my window, I would even on purpose have like maybe like a half a PB&J or something like that right before my window closed, so that it really was like, okay, I kind of like, I took it full advantage of that window, and then when it closed, okay, not gonna eat until it opens up the next day. Um, but the grazing for me was definitely related to emotional eating, and so I just had to learn. And one thing I really learned is, there were better ways than food to deal with those things. So, like, the thing about stress eating is, like, yeah, initially it does kind of like comfort you or whatever, but ultimately, if it leads to weight gain, then you're ending up increasing your stress. But what I saw was, like, things like talking things out with my husband, um, journaling, writing, all those things were way more helpful. Like, as far as just like, because a lot of times then the stress is actually dealt with and it's out of your life, or at least the situation has improved somewhat, and so your stress levels go down. Whereas the eating emotionally just makes the problem worse. So, Isra Ragab says, "Do I have any or asking, do I have any book recommendations? I'm a teacher and we're about to start summer vacation." Well, I love to read, and I'm not sure if you just mean in general what books would I recommend. My favorite book ever, I think, as far as one that just really impacted me, and I've only read it once, and it's been several years now, but it was Les Miserables, by Victor Hugo. I'm reading The Hunchback of Notre Dame right now, but anyway, that's just as far as novels go. If you want a more modern novel, the best one I've read is A Gentleman in Moscow. That one's really good. But if you're wanting something weight loss related, actually, that's something I did not find. Well, I didn't really find much help in weight loss books. Because every diet, it always makes it sound like there's just this one way and you just got to do this, and most of them conflict with each other, and it's like, it just kind of makes you feel overwhelmed, or at least it did for me. So I did read one book that I did read, and I read it, I believe, at like the beginning of 2016. So right before I got clear on my plan and really had results that year, was The 4 Hour Body by Tim Ferriss. So he wrote The 4 Hour Work Week, which I find very interesting. But The 4 Hour Body, that one just helped me to think differently about things. One question that I got from Tim Ferriss was, what would this look like if it were easy? And that was transformative to me, because I always I always have a tendency to make things harder on myself. But with weight loss, when I asked that question of myself, like, what would weight loss look like if it were easy? That's how I wrote my plan. It was like, well, I could do intermittent fasting 6 days a week, take a cheat day every Sunday, and I could walk 6 miles a day, just walking, just like a slow 6 mile walk. That's what I can do. And have coffee whenever I want it in the fasting window, like however I want it and however much I want. And be able to eat all the food. Like I want to be able to eat whatever I want at my meals. Like I don't want to try to be low carb. I don't want to try to, have to do any of this stuff. I just want to eat all the food. And that seemed to me like it was going to be easy, and sure enough, I was able to stick with the plan. I enjoyed the plan, and it has helped me to lose weight and to keep it off. So, other books though. So, let's see. Books I think that were really helpful to me when I really think back on the journey. Awaken the Giant Within, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life by Brian Tracy, See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar, Richest Man in Babylon. That's Og Mandino, right? I think. Greatest. No, George Clayson wrote Greatest Salesman in the World, right? Yeah. No. Wait, you're right. I'm wrong. And
that's the first.
There's so many good books. Tools for Titans was a good book. That's by Tim Ferriss. Total Money Makeover is a great book if you're having money problems, because that can be tied to weight. Certainly, money stress can definitely cause weight gain. That's by Dave Ramsey. Let's see, other books. Anything by Mark Twain or Charles Dickens. There's so much good book. So many good books. So little time to read them. Ray Bradbury is great. Oh well. I could go on and on about books, but I won't. Okay. Sunkissed by TMH says, do you have any problems with fruit? I have no problems with fruit. I eat fruit whenever I want it. I am allergic to kiwi and perhaps to pears. The other day I had a pear and my throat felt kind of itchy. I was like, oh man, I hope I'm not allergic to pears. But I love fruit. I mean, we had strawberries last night. Love strawberries. They were so good last night. So good. But yeah, I love fruit. I love fruit. I love carbs. I have pasta, bread, all sorts of things all the time. So another person asked, did I have hair loss? No. Well, I will say this. After having 3 kids, I definitely have less hair. Like, I don't know if you can see, but I mean, that's how much hair I have. And I certainly noticed, like, with each kid, I seem to have less hair. I used to have really, really thick hair. I think it's just getting older and having kids, all that stuff probably depletes all your nutrients or something. I don't know, but I've never, I can't say that I've ever really had major hair loss. There have been times I think where I've been kind of paranoid, like, oh, am I losing my hair, But I've always just shed a lot. Jay can attest to that. So, Dryfly says, do you have any suggestions on people who work the night shift 4 days out of the week? Oh, God bless you, because that is hard. The night shift. My husband did the night shift for a while, and man, it is hard on your body. It's hard on your family life. It's just tough. And so first of all, stress levels. Just be aware of that. That could certainly be a thing. I mean, I imagine there are some people who really love the night shift, like that's just kind of a natural fit for them. So hopefully that's the case for you. But if not, just be aware that stress can really be a thing on the weight loss journey. Like, it can really make it difficult to stick with a plan when you're feeling stressed. It can make it really easy to overeat in your eating window, which can lead to weight gain. So, like, that's something that I always want to try to make clear to people. You can eat too much in the eating window, and you'll gain weight. And like you can be perfect with intermittent fasting with the rules that you've set up for yourself, but if you eat too much, you will gain weight. So, but my best suggestion would be that you try to have as much structure as you can with your eating. Like, try to keep it the same if you can, but if you need to have like a different schedule for those 4 days, do that. Just try to like sit down and ask yourself, like, what would be easy? I mean, that's a really good question for situations like this. What would be easy? And then build your plan based around that. Like, what kind of window would probably work, and just do that, and experiment with it. You know, look at it as trial and error. You may guess wrong the first time. Like, maybe you think, okay, this window will work, or this plan will work. It's like, oh, that just doesn't quite fit. I can't stick with that, or whatever it is. Then just say, okay, let's learn from it and move on. Okay, let's see. Leslie Jones says, I think I only lost 0.2 pounds on OMAD this week. I was starving when I went to eat. I know I overate. Did you notice change in your body or scale first? OMAD makes 2MAD for myself look so easy, so I'm thinking I will go to that. The thing is, though, I swear I have noticed a change in my body this week. Okay, so, first of all, how much weight do you have to lose? You don't have to say that out loud, because OMAD doesn't mean that you're going to lose weight really fast. The reason I say, like, think about how much do you have to lose. If right now, let's say you're obese, okay, if you're obese and you're working your way down, a pound a week is on average. Okay, that doesn't mean that every week you're going to lose a pound. Like, it more, in my experience and what I've seen from a lot of other people, it more looks like this. Like, maybe you lose a pound 1 week, but then the next week you lose 0 pounds, and then the next week maybe you lose a half a pound, and the week after that it drops 2 pounds, and then the week after that it's 0 pounds, and the week after that, so, like, the point is, it's not this. It's a heartbeat. It goes up and down and up and down and up and down, and over time that trend is downward, but the day to day, the week, even the week to week numbers, it's like they go up and down. So don't jump to conclusions and think, oh, like, how I did it this week was wrong, and like that it's like some sort of definite judgment call that you can make just because 1 week the scale just kind of stayed stuck, or maybe, I mean, you actually did have downward movement, which is great. So what helped me was to weigh myself every single day and to keep track of my 7-day average. And so what that means is just you take your weight in the morning, and then you put that in a spreadsheet, or, like, I have a weight tracking spreadsheet that I used, still continue to use, but you can download that on my website if you would like to. I'm sure there are other like apps out there that can do that for you. There used to be one, I can't remember now if it's still out there, called LibraScale. But the point is, keeping track of that average and seeing how your weight is tracking over time. And even looking at the 7-day average, I would recommend that you pay attention to, like, the 6-week trend of it. So, and then also, okay, you're 5'3" and 160. Okay, so 5'3" and 160. I'm trying to think, like, you're in the overweight range, but I mean, that, like, you've got maybe some weight to lose, right? But, like, so as you get towards a normal BMI, what I found was that the weight loss was like fractions of a pound a week. And that was me being on OMAD. So, like, when I went from 222 down to 158, that was a pound a week. And that was being very consistent. on OMAD. I mean, I did have my rules, like I talked about. Like I would go off plan if people were in from out of town and it's like, let's go for lunch or whatever. Yes, I would go off plan for that. But generally speaking, was very much on plan. Now, so I maintained that weight loss for like a year before I decided to lose more. So when I stopped at like 158, I was still like 3 or 4 pounds overweight according to the BMI scale. So then when I decided, like when I started my YouTube channel, I was like, I gotta get this little bit of weight off because I want to be in a normal BMI range, because I thought that would give me credibility, I guess. Which I disagree with myself about now, but I did. I decided to lose some more, and I was curious to see, like, if I do OMAD, because in maintenance I didn't just do OMAD. I was like, how loose can I be with this? Like, what, like, do I need to eat 1 meal a day? Can I eat 2 meals a day? Like, do I need to do that every day? You know, and I experimented a lot that year, and what I found was it was pretty easy to maintain at that weight within a 5 pound range, just doing a variation on intermittent fasting. Usually I would do 1 meal a day. Sometimes I do 2 meals a day. Sometimes I do 3 meals a day. But the main metric I looked at was my weight, and then, you know, if I saw like, oh, this is trending up, then I'd be like, okay, I need to go back to like OMAD or 2MAD, or, you know, or like a 16/8 or whatever. Once I started to lose weight again, so that was like September of 2017, I went back to OMAD, 6 days a week, cheat day on Sunday, walk 6 miles every day, every single day. And the weight loss then was like a third of a pound a week, 1/3 of 1 pound a week. So it took me, on average, you know, 3 weeks to lose 1 pound. So if I had not been keeping track of my 7-day average and just having like almost like blind faith, like, it will eventually come off. Like, it's going to come off, and I just have to keep going. Like, I can't let the scale frustrate me or anything. I'm just going to keep going, and maybe it'll take forever, but eventually this weight's going to come off. So it took me, you know, like a year to lose, like, what was that, like 17 pounds, I think. I get my numbers all mixed up, but it's something like that. So it's really slow. The point is it gets slower and slower as you near the normal BMI. That has, I've read a lot of people's experience, like what, you know, how quickly do you lose in those last few pounds of those. I think that's the whole, like, last 10-pound thing. Like, why is it so difficult? Because it's so slow. It's just really, really slow. And I think that's because your body is like, hey, we're good now. Like, you don't need to lose more. But anyway, so there you go. And so you also asked, you know, did I notice changes in my body or on the scale? Okay, so the first... Sorry about that. I hope you guys can hear me. It's really loud. This is my my alarm. So the question though was, well, okay, I want to mention 2 things. You said you overate. So, and that's something to learn. I mean, you know, like, just learning, like, oh, I ate too much. I overate at that meal. It still happens to me from time to time. Usually more often when I'm stressed than when I'm not, but it does happen. Sometimes you just get distracted. Sometimes you're just happy to see somebody. It's like, oh man, I haven't seen you forever, and you're sitting down to a meal and you're just eating and talking, and it's like, oh, totally overate. Didn't mean to do that. How can I make that better in the future? Just asking yourself that one question. How can I make that better in the future? When I'm in that same situation, how can I do a little bit better is very helpful. And so just try to learn from that. Okay, you overate at that meal. Why? What was going on? How could you make it a little bit better? Learning how to eat a little bit slower, so difficult, but it takes a long time. I'm still not perfect at it by any stretch of the imagination, but it's worth the effort to just try. Just try a little, like, try to get a little bit better at it. Okay. But changes in the body versus the scale. So one thing that kept me stuck with weight loss for a long time was, like, in 2014, I said, okay, I want to lose the weight. I was very determined. I want to lose the weight. I've had enough moment. And for that first, like, year, I did not weigh myself. I did not get on the scale. And I regret that so much now because I couldn't tell if I was making progress or not. Like, I was measuring myself because I thought, well, I'll just measure. I don't need to know the number on the scale. I'll just measure my waist. And so I would do that every week. I would measure like all these different. I would measure my arm and my waist and my hips, or like all the different things. And you know what? I was cheating, on like the measuring. I would pull it tighter every week. I'd pull it a little bit tighter just so that I could have a victory. It was it was so terrible. I really couldn't tell. Am I having any results? And I still don't know. I was taking these pictures of myself, so that I would never be shocked at how I looked in a picture, because that was the whole thing that started it all. I was taking these pictures and I looked at them last night and I tried to determine, like, I had a picture of myself in March 2014. That was like, it was a few days after I had that I've had enough moment. And then like a year later, it was like it was the end of that year. So it was maybe like 9 months. And I had been trying during that time, just like eat, I was trying to like maybe eat higher protein than normal, although I don't really know that I was being really strict with that. I would go through times where I was like, I'm going to jog 3 miles a day, and I was doing all this stuff. And I look at those pictures and I can't tell. I can't tell if I made really any progress, because eventually I just I said, and I said this in the spreadsheet that I was keeping track of my stuff in, like the measurements. I put, I'm going back to being honest with my measurements, and they were pretty much the same as what I started out with that year. So it's tricky when you're just trying to look at body changes. You can really, in my experience, you can really psych yourself out too. If the like you can think, oh well, my stomach's bigger today, or and it's really hard to tell. Like, it's really hard to tell even like a 5 or 10 pound difference in my experience. Like, if I look at pictures, and I can know exactly what my weight was at this one and exactly what my weight was at this one. It's like if you flip the pictures around and try to say like which one, where was I higher in my weight, it's really difficult to tell. Sometimes it's just impossible. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Okay. Oh, we're already okay. So I gotta shorten these answers according to Jay, because we've got some more and we're about out of town. Okay. All right. Jada says, how did you start intermittent fasting? I tried OMAD and found it hard. Oh, well, you would, because OMAD, just to try to jump into OMAD, that is hard. Would a 16-8 help with discipline? Yes. Yes, absolutely. I started out with a very shortened fasting window. I would do like 8 hours. I just basically said, I'm not going to eat past 10. I'm not going to eat before 6 a.m. And so that's my first fasting window. And then I just started pushing breakfast a little bit later, a little bit later, a little bit later. Eventually it was like, I'm eating breakfast at 10 o'clock now. Oh, wow. Well, that's like a 12-hour fasting window. And then I just push out a little later. Okay, I'm eating it at 10:30 now. Now I'm eating at 11. And this was a process. It took time, but it built discipline. Building discipline takes time. It's just about doing it poorly until you can do it well. And so, yes, absolutely. Start with what you can. If you can start at a 16-8 and be consistent with that, and you don't feel like miserable or like that's too hard, go for it. It will definitely help. Dawn, let's see. Dawn Gilroy says, how do you tell friends and family that you're an IFer without them thinking you're crazy? 3 months down, almost 20 pounds gone. Ah, well, that is awesome. Okay, so, okay, 3 months, 20 pounds. That is really great. Thank you for sharing that, first of all. I didn't really tell people that I was doing intermittent fasting. It wasn't necessarily that I thought that they would try to discourage me, although probably part of me thought that, because it is so like different. At the time, I think, I mean, this was back in like the very end of 2014, beginning of 2015. That's when I started doing it. 2016 is when I got really consistent, but I think it was the end of 2016. It was really like when I got down to my goal and decided, I was like, okay, I was at 158. I was like, I feel good right here. We're going into the holidays right now. I just need to see if I can maintain this for a while. And so then when people would ask me like what I was doing, it was nice because I had already lost the weight and I felt really confident. Like people will try to tell you like, oh, that won't work. It's like, it didn't work. And that's the beauty of it. Like I've already done. So, and I did a video about this, like the reasons to keep the weight loss journey private. And it's not that you're doing anything wrong or anything like that, but people, when you share things with people like that, they can take that as a cue, like, oh, you want weight loss advice? Let me tell you, like, you shouldn't do that. You should, you should do the grapefruit diet. You should only eat, whatever. And that can be not helpful. Grapefruit. And it can be not helpful. It can be, well, so it can be frustrating, just frustrating, like, oh, why aren't people listening? But also, you know, people are trying to be helpful, but sometimes they can just give you really bad advice, like really bad advice. Like, I can't even tell you how many different times just on this channel, people in the comment section have tried to get me to go keto. Like, oh, well, that's what you need to do. It's like, no, no thanks. Like, I love food. I love carbs. I feel good when I eat carbs. And but people will try to do, and I know from experience how I do on like that type of diet. I did the zone diet. I lost weight, but I was super miserable on it. So, okay, well, enough said on that. So I would just go slowly with it. Like, as you feel very, very comfortable, you're still very early on. Well, I actually don't know how much you have to lose. Maybe if you've only got like, if you're done, then sure. Go ahead and tell them all about it. But if you're still in it, and you're still on that journey, I would just say, like let your success speak for itself. That's really helpful. Just to just keep doing what you're doing. And if people ask you, if people like come up and say, how are you losing the weight? I've really seen a difference or whatever. I mean, go for it. Tell them. But like sometimes it can be tempting to just tell everybody, and then they misinterpret it because they think, oh well, obviously I need to tell you the right way to lose weight. Okay. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you guys for joining me. Yeah, and Don, yeah, you said your husband is doing great with keto. I know lots of people who do great with keto. Like they really love it. They're doing great with weight loss, and they enjoy that way of eating. Just not for me. Great for them, not for me. So and that's really important, I think, to encourage people with whatever they're doing. If it works for you, then do that. Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining me for the super chats. That was very nice of you guys. Thank you. And I hope to see you the next time we do these. We were trying to do these a little bit more regularly than we were in the past. So thanks, and I will see you guys on the next one. Now I have to stop it. I can't find the little button. Sorry. It's still going.